You're already working out multiple times a week. You eat well. You're doing your best to take care of yourself. You consider yourself to be relatively in shape. You're a woman who prioritises fitness, but you know that you've got an extra 5-10%. You want to turn up the dial a little. Welcome back to the Nicola Graham Podcast. Ladies, this week, I want to talk to you about some of the things that I know have worked for me in the last couple of years. Since entering into my 40s, I've definitely made changes and adaptations to diet, to training, lifestyle factors. And I've also put a lot of these factors into practice with my one-to-one clients, and I've seen it be hugely successful with the ladies that I work with. So I want to pass it forward this week, because if you are in that camp of women, you're approaching 40, maybe you're right into your 40s, you're starting to feel the hormones change. It is a complete new season of life, and you don't quite know how to course correct. And there's nothing more frustrating than carrying on as we always have, training the way that we always have, eating the way that we always have, but we're not getting the results that we always got. Like, we know that something needs to change, but we don't know what. And so what I'm hearing from a lot of women is we're trying to work out more or harder, and we're trying to eat less. So we think that more is the answer. And I am here to take the weight off and tell you that that is not the answer. I've tried it, trust me. But there are definitely little nuances that we can pay more attention to. And this is, again, I am assuming that I am talking to you. You already work out. You are already paying attention to the food that you put into your body, but you are just ready to, dial it up a little. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't fit that camp, I'm not working out, and I feel as though I'm starting from scratch with my diet, you are still welcome. You are still welcome here. You can still apply all of these pointers that I'm going to talk through. And please go and have a listen to previous podcasts, ladies. What I will say, and I'm going to use this as my unfiltered for this week, is get yourself into Thriving Women community. The link is below to come and join us. It is a free community where if you are listening to this and you are at a point where you feel as though you are starting from scratch, trust me, the one thing that you will need more than anything right now is to be surrounded by like-minded women who get it, women who will support you, women who will offer the advice and the support and the tips when you are struggling, and the women who will get it when you are winning. Like, they will genuinely cheer you on. If there's one thing I know to be true, especially when you're at that starting point, the identity piece is huge. Who we identify as, our self-belief, and the women that we surround ourselves with is huge when it comes to like reinforcing that. This is why Thriving Women has been created. And honestly, thank you so much to the amount of women who have already joined into the community. Our first masterclass will have been announced by the time that you listen to this. So if you've not caught up on that yet, this is a free webinar available to everybody inside of Thriving Women. Head to Thriving Women now. Come and join us. Find out all the details of our first masterclass. If you are inside of Thriving Lifestyle, which is the group coaching community inside of Thriving Women, ladies, I am buzzing to have you inside, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to support you in achieving your goals, because trust me, this is going to be a group coaching experience with a difference. I've worked in the coaching industry now for long enough. I really pride myself on the fact that with the women that I have had the absolute privilege to work with in the last 10 years, we've always got to the real talk. We've always got to the crux of what's really going on. We've always got to the real standards, like not just those modest, I'd love to drop a dress size, like the real standard of what you want in life, in your relationships, in your career, in your physical goals. And in doing that, I've really taken in over the last 10 years the struggles and the real talk from the women that I've worked alongside. And honestly, like, Thriving Women has been born out of that, because you don't need another plan. You do not need another generic plan that is going to have you feeling like it's the solution to everything. We need to broaden. We need to expand. We need to remove limiting beliefs. We need to, one of the things that I say about accountability and the importance of accountability, it's not because you're lazy. Maybe that's in part, but again, it's not laziness. It's not bone idle. It's we need that accountability, because a lot of the time we just don't have that belief in ourselves that we can do it. And so when I'm going to hold you accountable, I'm going to hold you to that standard that we've set. We've set the bar, and this is it now. There's no going back. We've set the bar, and I'm going to show you what you're made of. And the amazing thing along the way is that you are going to start to achieve the goals, the small goals that we set out. You're going to start to feel that difference in your mindset, in your body, in the way that you show up, in your self-talk. And then that self-belief, that resilience, it starts to build over time. And that's where you will value the accountability. It's not the accountability to step away from the biscuit cupboard. Yes, that might be a small part of it because maybe that's your struggle. But ultimately, it's the accountability to lift yourself up and to raise those standards. And honestly, there will be clients of mine who will come on the podcast in future episodes. I've already had a conversation with a couple of my OG clients, and they will talk you through exactly what I am referring to, because it is life-changing. It is life-changing when you get that accountability and you come to realise what you're made of, and you stop underestimating yourself, because this is what I am more passionate about than ever, is us getting past this underestimating ourselves constantly. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but the mindset, the identity, it's such a huge part. And you've heard me talk about this on here before. We've got the ability now to compare ourselves at any given moment in the day. We can compare our meals to what other people are eating. We can compare our workouts. We can compare our dress size, our aesthetics, the shape and size of our boobs. We can compare what our kids are doing. Social media has given us this accessibility that is having us doubt ourselves at all times. But we're going to regroup. We're going to regroup inside of Thriving Women, and we're going to bring it back. And we're going to stay in our own lane, and we're going to allow ourselves to be inspired and encouraged and motivated by other women. But we're not going to allow ourselves to compare. This is where we're going to draw the line. My little unfiltered, I suppose, little anecdote of the week. I always tend to give a little share on my week gone by. And we were watching Strictly the other night. And my kids love the dresses, obviously, and they love the makeup and seeing, the women looking lovely and pretty. And every dancer that comes on, we've got something really positive to say, oh my gosh, her dress is amazing. Oh, her dance moves are amazing. Or we love her hair, or we love her earrings, or whatever it is. Okay. So complimentary, such an empowered household is what I want to be amongst. And I just thought to myself the other day, whilst we're watching Strictly, I didn't actually grow up around this. When the penny just drops. And I'm going to share something now. And again, this is my interpretation. I could be wrong, but you've heard me talk about, I grew up with, my mum didn't have bags of confidence. I still struggle with confidence in certain areas, whether it is in business or otherwise. I'm working on it. We've all got those areas that we want to work on. But my mum didn't grow up with bags of self-confidence. And so I didn't really hear her compliment or big up other women. And it wasn't because of jealousy. She's not that person. She's not that woman at all. But I think sometimes when we are comparing ourselves to others, we're quite fearful to draw attention to anyone else, because we're lacking confidence in ourselves. So we don't want to draw attention to that woman's amazing physique, or look how heavy she can lift, or whatever it might be, hair, makeup, dress, I don't know, whatever it is. And it really just dawned on me. I was sitting there with my girls and I thought, I did not grow up around this. It just wasn't a thing. We didn't sit there and build other women up. And it's not like we're not watching Strictly, and it's not like Mission builds every dancer that comes on screen up. But it's naturally, my girls are just really encouraging to other girls and other women. And they've obviously got that from me, and this is something that I've had to work on. But I truly believe that this has come from me being so comfortable in my own lane. So I will happily, when I'm out with my husband, compliment other women. But I genuinely mean it. It's not a backhanded compliment, and I'll never speak negatively about another woman, and I won't have it either in my company. I'll always shut it down. And that's just part of, I suppose, like my bigger mission as a coach and womanhood and sisterhood. But it all comes back to this level of self-confidence and this level of removing those barriers and removing those comparisons and being so happy and content where we're at and having that self-belief that we know how to take ourselves to the next level and we know how to take care of ourselves. And so to see another woman thrive is just, it's empowering, because if she can do it, I can do it. I've kind of gone off on a bit of a tangent here, but this is it's another big value inside of Thriving Women. It's part of why it's always commented on to me that I get into the nitty gritty with all of my clients. And I'm like, we are like a girl gang now. Like, honestly, we support each other. We're not just talking about what did you lift in the gym. We are talking about how did your kids get on? How did parents evening go? What did you order when you went for that meal with your husband that you were all excited for? And like it's everything. We are a girl gang, we are a community. So if you're not already inside of Thriving Women, please come and join us. And if you are inside of Thrive Lifestyle, let's go. I am ready to rock and roll. If you're listening to this, I reckon we've got about 10 weeks of the year left. Ladies, that is ample amount of time to crush. Okay, back on course, Nick. This week, I'm going to talk to you ladies about top 5 factors that I have put into play that I know have made big difference for me. And it's different areas that I'm now paying attention to what I was before. Number 1, reduce alcohol. I've got to talk about it because it's made such a positive difference. And it's such a big struggle that I hear all of the time. And I know that there's so many accounts on Instagram and there's so many coaches who they want to promote this flexibility. And of course you can go out and you can drink and you can do this, that and the other. And yes, we can have a little flexibility. But ladies, make no mistake, the alcohol hits differently when we come into our late 30s and our 40s. It impacts our rest and heart rate. It impacts our ability to rest and recover. So it disturbs our sleep. It impacts our cortisol levels, which we know it's closely linked with anxiety and cravings and, all of these other sort of like anxious feelings. It impacts our HRV, heart rate variability. So that is our body's central nervous system stress response. It impacts all of these health markers. 1 to 2 glasses of alcohol. I had a client put in to our chat earlier last week and she said, oh my gosh, I went out last night to concert with my hubs and I had 4 glasses of wine. Very into taking care of herself, this client of mine. She works out hard, she takes care of her diet, she takes care of her body, she's got high standards. And she had a couple of drinks, let herself go. And she was like, my mind is blown, my resting heart rate has shot up overnight, my HRV has dropped off a cliff. And I was like, yeah, like she uses a Whoop. Myself and a lot of my clients, we either like the Hour Ring or the Oura Ring or a Whoop, just to track that extra health data. And so the rest and heart rate is a big one, okay, because that's how hard your heart is having to work at rest. So this client's heart rate had shot up overnight during sleep from usual 50s to 71. HRV, so central nervous system, body's readiness to perform, to go about the day, had dropped off a cliff of 4 glasses of wine. How many of you are drinking 4 glasses of wine without even thinking about it every Friday night? Then maybe you'll have 2 on a Saturday as well. Maybe you might have 1 on a Sunday. If you are serious about prioritising your health, about improving your health markers, about transforming body, lifestyle, mindset, you're struggling with the motivation to get to the gym because you haven't got the confidence, because you're not, like, tie it back. Where is the low-hanging fruit? Alcohol is one of them. I know it's such a social aspect of the week for so many women, and for a lot of you it's definitely a stress response, and it's maybe linked to how you like to unwind or how you like to socialise. But start here. Pay attention, reduce your alcohol intake, maybe go 2 to 3 weeks with none, and pay close attention to how you feel. And I guarantee it will become, I wouldn't say an addiction, maybe a healthy addiction. It becomes like a game. you're happy to challenge yourself not to have the alcohol because you now know what's on the other side of not having that alcohol, because you've done that 2 to 3 week stint and you've give yourself that little bit of time to gain some momentum, and you know how good it feels. It's the same as with your workout. So we don't always want to get the workout, but we know how good we're going to feel afterwards. So most of the time that pushes us out the door, into our trainers, out the door and onto the lifting platform or the bike or the row machine or whatever it is. Like, we're chasing that feeling after. It becomes the same with the alcohol. So this is something that I've really noticed has made a difference to my general temperament and just my ability to stay consistently feeling good. Not even consistently eating well or staying in a calorie deficit or any of those. It's just consistently feeling good. That's really important to me. I don't want to have to put on a mask of a weekend when I'm with my kids. I want to naturally spring out of bed with good energy and to be able to show up in the way that they deserve. And it's not the case every week. Hormones sometimes like to put the brakes on that one. But I've tried to help that situation by reducing alcohol, and I know it to be true. Also remember that the following day, the body's main number one priority is to get the alcohol out of the system. So before anything else, before burning any other calories, before getting back to fat loss or whatever else it was that you've been focusing on for the whole rest of the week, the body's primary function is to get the alcohol, the toxins out of the body. Bear in mind, half of the time in that process, you are craving all kinds, you don't want to move. We kind of set ourselves back then for a further 24 hours. And then the same process then is the next 24 hours, the body is still trying to get rid of all the toxins. Maybe this time it's from like the junk food or the takeaway or whatever. So it really can slow you down. If you're trying to level up and you've got some big results that you want to get after, then commit and really hone in on reducing alcohol, and you will feel the benefits. The second thing that I've changed is the way that I train. And I've really cut back on excessive HIIT style sessions. Now, I've always lifted weights, but maybe 12 months, 18 months, 2 years ago from now, I've done a lot of weight-based circuit training. So lifting heavy, lifting very explosively, going for those times, going for the AMRAPs, going for the every minute on the minute, just all guns blazing, because that feeling afterwards cannot be matched. But it's almost like a false economy, because the feeling that we get afterwards, although it's amazing, it is frying our central nervous system, ladies. And certainly for me, again, coming into my 40s, I have seen changes here in my central nervous system around menstrual cycle, around ovulation, different periods throughout the week. Maybe if I've not had the best sleep, I really feel those heightened emotions just kick in way sooner than they did before. My resilience, my ability to deal with pressure or even just feelings of anxiety, I'm just not as resilient as I was before. And so that central nervous system, so we need to pay attention to how to keep our central nervous system regulated, better regulated. And I always relied on training for that. And I would have always gone into the gym, and it was always how hard, how heavy, how fast, all of the things. But actually in the last 2 years, and I think part of being a coach, I like to be the guinea pig for what I want to advocate. And I've got to say, I was still getting that feeling afterwards. I was still getting that high, those endorphins. But the recovery, my ability to recover, it's changed. And those workouts are lighting my central nervous system up to beyond what is productive. Like, it's not productive. It's not going to get me to the goal. It's sending me into these 2 to 3 day periods of I feel as though I really need to recover. I've got crazy DOMs. I can't control my appetite. I'm noticing my sleep's a little bit disturbed. I'm starting to hold weight a little bit around my middle, or more water retention than I was before. And I've realised those adaptations needed to be made when it comes to training. So I still like to train in that way, but I'm very consciously aware now of what point in my menstrual cycle I'm at, when I've got to be well rested. I've got to be prioritising a couple of the other factors that I'm going to talk you through right now. So there's still a place for that type of training, but the changes that I have made is focusing more on building strength, which you've heard me talk about before. It's something that I've always prioritised, but maybe now more in a slow, controlled way. I'm extending the rest periods between lifting. I'm focused on slow controlled reps. I'm not trying to, not every session needs to be an hour-long sweat fest. I'm quite happy to leave the gym after 30 minutes and know that I've gone through 3 solid compound exercises, 4 sets of 10 on each. I've lifted at a decent weight. I feel good. I've still got energy in the tank, actually. Perfect. That's how we want you to be leaving the gym, because I don't want you to have to go home and need a nap after your gym session. Like that, again, it becomes counterproductive, and it then starts to have this knock-on effect to the diet, to the nutrition, to your body's ability to recover. So making those changes has enhanced the overall picture. And I know you ladies heard me say, this summer is one of the best I have felt in as long as I can remember. I felt so confident, so content, so energized, so happy. This summer just passed. But I was paying attention to all of these areas that I'm talking you through. I was genuinely paying attention. And honestly, it didn't take any more time. It didn't consume me at all. I just prioritized it until it became a little more habitual. I was really consciously making those decisions around alcohol. And when it came to the exercise, little and often. And this plays into if you are a woman who, you've got the busy career, you've got children, you've got a household to run, you've got long days, you haven't got all of the time in the world. We can work this to your advantage, because that old school mentality that every session has to be 60 minutes long, or every session has to be X amount of calories burned, or we have to be in a pool of sweat at the end of the workout for it to feel like it was making any difference. It's an old school mentality. Actually, the key now is to consistently just get in and move. And if it's 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. Trust me on this. It's building up. It is accruing, and you're building momentum without, it goes against the narrative that maybe we attached ourselves to 5-10 years ago. But if you are listening to this and you feel like you're in between a rock and a hard place, again, this just builds into that need for consistency, where you can show up, where you can pay attention to the recovery. I've reduced eating late at night. This is such a good one for me to pass forward. I really want you to pay attention to this, because me 5 years ago, I would have said to you, your calories are your calories, and it doesn't matter what time of day you eat them. If you eat all of your calories at 10 o'clock at night, are you going to gain body fat? No, your calories are your calories, and it doesn't matter what time you eat them. Because obviously we've all heard previously the myths, or whatever we like to call them, around carbs after dark, or we have to eat at certain times, or we have to eat every 2 hours, or we have to fast. There's been so many different extremes. So I started paying attention to my well-being, to my central nervous system, to my sleep, to my, I was getting brain fog. Ladies, I was getting brain fog, and it was worrying me. I'm going back about 18 months now. It was really worrying me. So I think I may have mentioned this on here before, but my grandma, when she passed away, she had Alzheimer's. She didn't know any of us when she passed away. It was really sad. And to see that decline in her scared the life out of me. So I started getting this brain fog, and I think I've spoken about it on a previous podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're thinking, oh, her eyes look like they're glazed over, they have, because it's an emotional memory for me to bring up. But again, I speak to you all about the importance of the reason why. I know we want to look good. I know we want to get in the dress size. I know we want to have the body confidence, but why does it matter? And one of my big reasons why is I want to remember my kids. I want to grow old, healthy up here in my mind as well as in my body. So I've started paying attention to the quality of my sleep. And as a default, it does matter what time of day you eat your calories, because if you are consuming food too close to bed, then you're going to bed still digesting food. So during sleep is when the magic happens. During sleep is when your body can detoxify. It can lower inflammation. It can recover from the workout. It can repair the muscle. Your brain also goes through a process during sleep. Pretty sure I've mentioned this on a previous podcast. I think it's known to be sort of like a 7-8 hour process. Again, that sort of like ties into the need for this 7-8 hours. It's like a cleaning of the brain. I don't know the scientific name for it, but it takes around 7 to 8 hours. And essentially what happens in the brain at that time is, any long-term memories are saved, any short-term memories maybe, put into this like little sub-compartment, and any brain fog that's built up over the day, like that's all removed. So we wake up and we're clear-headed, we're clear-minded. In order for your body to be able to go through all of these incredible processes that it is built to do, ideally, we don't want it to be digesting foods, because that's a big job for the body to have to do. So we want to give the body the opportunity to work on all of these other amazing functions like detoxification, which we all feel that we need. The body is designed to do that on its own. We just need to give it the opportunity. If you're constantly eating food, it's constantly digesting, so it can't get to detoxification. So I practiced for maybe 2 weeks, having a cut-off point of around 7:30. So not really early. Like, it felt challenging, but it was doable. So 7:30 for me meant that I have to eat with the kids most nights. A lot of the time, me and my husband were accustomed to, we would eat when the kids had gone to bed. And I also sometimes like to have a little something, just when the kids go to bed and you just want to have that little bit of a snack. And you've accounted for it, so it's all good. It's in your calories, but you're still eating like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I cut that out. The difference to my sleep, without me even tracking the sleep, I mean, I do track sleep on my Whoop, but without me even tracking, it was just a knowing. I was just waking up in the morning, feeling great. I was feeling flatter in my stomach, like de-bloated, completely de-bloated, more energized. That like sometimes you need that like little minute to yourself, maybe the pint of water and the coffee before you're ready to face everyone. I was waking up and I was like, I'm ready. I'm on it. I'm excited for the day ahead. And it linked to having this cut-off point at the end of each evening. Now, I've got to say, I don't strictly follow this, because speaking of strictly, Saturday night, for example, we might want to sit and watch Strictly and have some snacks. And, different nights in the week, I might have that little Greek yogurt about 8:30 at night. But I've got to say, if you are serious about improving maybe the quality of your sleep, because the impact it's going to have to everything else, this can be a game changer, ladies. And it also, for a lot of my clients, it's really helped with boundaries. Because what is the one time of the day when we feel our willpower just slipping through our fingers? Before you know it, you're in the biscuit cupboard. It's last thing at night. It's always last thing at night. When we finally are left to our own devices, kids are in bed, everything else is done, like we get to have a little bit of time for ourselves. We use that time to eat, but it's counterproductive. And it's okay from time to time. We live by 80-20, so 20% of the time, go for it, enjoy, but it becomes the exception to the norm. I think that's the most important thing about all of these shares that I'm giving you. It becomes the exception to the norm. It's not all or nothing. Nothing that we do is all or nothing. I'm not saying you've got to abstain from alcohol 100% of the time, but let's normalise going a weekend without alcohol. Let's normalise prioritising our sleep, and let's normalise having that last meal a little bit earlier, and maybe not eating so many snacks so close to bed. And then we wake up ravenous and we wonder why. And it's because eating so close to bed, what has happened is these blood sugar spikes that we get inevitably after eating, regardless of what the food is, that's happening during sleep. So we wake up and we've had a crash overnight, essentially. So we wake up and we're like, oh my gosh, I need carbs or toast or whatever it is. Or maybe you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. And for some women, you wake up and you can't face food. You cannot face food. That's also, I would say, not the healthiest place to be in. Because what happens with any of these women I speak to who wake up, you cannot face food. You can't eat anything until lunchtime. What happens? You are craving like no one's business the back end of the day. And what also happens, you've got a fat loss goal, you're carrying weight around your middle, you're struggling with low energy, struggling with negative self-talk, because your central nervous system is up the wall overnight because it's digesting all of this food that you're eating at like 9 o'clock. So it's all of these little nuances, and then we think we just need the next diet plan that'll sort us out. We just need to follow this new ab workout. No. Trust me when I say pay attention to the way that you live your lifestyle, the daily habits, Like the morning routine, the evening routine, the cut-off point around the nutrition. These are the things that will add up, whereby you build that resilience then to then follow through on the likes of the diet plan, the likes of the workout. Prioritise protein. I've definitely paid more attention to this since entering into my 40s, since feeling a little more heightened, like I need a little bit more help with recovery from workouts, like I need a little bit more help tightening up. Bikini season this year, I felt great, but I was definitely paying more attention to protein. I didn't used to have to pay that much attention. Like I've always prioritized protein and felt great. And then I hit this sort of like period whereby, you know, you eat your meal, you eat your breakfast, and you instantly just feel like, oh, like this isn't my best self. Like what's off? And I think it was just prioritizing it more so. There's so much conflicting information on the internet about this. If you are listening to me, if you are thriving women, want to be one of us inside of Thriving Women, you're following Thriving Lifestyle, you're one of my one-to-one clients, 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight, ladies. If you're currently 160 pounds, you want to be 145 pounds, your ideal body weight is 145 pounds, you want to be striving for 145 grams of protein. Now, if you've always followed a calorie tracking diet whereby as long as you stay within your calories, you're all good, that's more of a bid to drive weight down on the scales as opposed to change your body composition. If we want to change our body composition, we want to change our aesthetic, we want to build tone, shape, physique, we have to pay attention to our macros, protein, fats and carbs. So if you've always followed calories alone, to then try to eat 145 grams of protein is going to feel a hell of a lot. Like in your mind, you're going to be like, that's not even doable for me. Like, how do I do that? So it's a slow process. And we're going to start by just prioritising 30 to 40 grams each meal. If you're not getting that, you're at a massive disadvantage, because particularly when we come into our 40s, we start to decline in muscle mass, we start to decline in bone density. Like the body's need for protein is more abundant than ever. So it becomes even more important. And I think when I talk about the fact that I was struggling with a bit of brain fog and I wasn't recovering as well, and I was noticing weight gain start to creep on, the instant that I reverted back to paying closer attention to my protein intake, I really did support those things that I was struggling with massively. So I'm going to pass that forward. If you are inside of Thriving Women, I know I'm mentioning the community a lot, but I'm right in the thick of it. I'm so excited right now about everything that it has to offer. But there is a document in there, a tool, a resource, which will help you with high protein snacks, prioritising protein, best food options. So head to the community, download that. It's a free resource. Just give yourself some awareness of like, what foods should we be prioritising? The last one, and this ties in with focusing on the quality over just the total number of calories, is prioritising fibre. So our fibre, there's a couple of key reasons why this is important, and I think why I've noticed the changes. So first of all, if you're prioritising protein, by default you also want to be prioritising fibre, because the fibre helps the body break down and utilise the protein. So rather than it just pass through us, we want the body to be able to absorb and use the protein that we're eating to repair and rebuild and satiate us. So your fibre matters. The other really important one, particularly for us women in our 40s, going into our 40s, is to support gut health. So there's a really strong correlation between heightened symptoms in perimenopause, so women who are going through perimenopause and who are really struggling, and poor gut health. I think that's actually the number one symptom, holistically, away from HRT or anything like that, holistically, like as in terms of diet, lifestyle factors, the number one area that we want to address is our gut health, because it massively reduces the symptoms, or it reduces the heightened symptoms of perimenopause. We're all going to go through it. We're all going to feel those changes. We're all going to have to deal with those symptoms, but we don't have to deal with them in such a severe, almost unmanageable way. So your gut health. Your fibre supports the lining of your gut. Your gut is where your serotonin hormone, 90% of your serotonin hormone, your happy hormone, 90% is produced in your gut. We know that this slightly declines in our 40s. We know cortisol slightly elevates, so we want to support that scale. So we want to support our gut health because we want this production of our happy hormone. Like, we want to give it the best opportunity that we can. So foods that I like to incorporate, because I'm imagining that there might be a question like, well, how do I increase my fibre? So it's simple things like it's an apple a day. You'll see me at 3:00, my tradition. When I get in the car to go and pick the kids up, I'll just eat an apple in the car. I generally take an apple for the kids as well. So it's become like a little ritual routine. So an apple a day. Carrots are great. I have chia seeds on my breakfast every morning. I have pumpkin seeds on my breakfast every morning. Bananas are great. Brussels sprouts, I love. I know that they're not everyone's tastes. Beans, lentils. Just trying to incorporate more high fibre foods. But definitely for me, like the easy ones, carrots, apples, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. I'm eating them now on a daily basis. And again, I'm really feeling the difference. Also, we consider the importance of gut health. If you are someone who struggles with bloating, or you feel like you are struggling with some level of inflammation, just especially around this midsection area, especially during menstrual cycle, or again, like going into the stage of where perimenopause has started to kick in. I say that word and I feel as though there'll be a camp of women thinking I'm definitely in perimenopause. And there'll be another camp of women thinking, nope, I'm in my 40s, but I'm all good. Like, biologically, we start to shift and change late 30s. The large majority. We just all feel it at a different stage in life. And I think some of us maybe accept it differently. It is different for everyone. Lifestyle factors massively help support. But if you know that you're feeling like more bloated than you used to, or again, inflammation, gut health, support your gut health, and it massively helps to lower the inflammation, to lower the bloat. So that can be something that you notice straight away just from increasing that fibre in your diet. And we don't have to go crazy here, ladies. We don't have to go crazy. I'm talking 25 grams. So if you're using MyFitnessPal to track your macronutrients, your fat, your carbs, your protein, just pay attention. Just scroll down at the bottom. You'll see dietary fibre. Just pay attention to how much fibre you are getting. Don't forget the gut and the brain are also really closely linked. So again, to support with cognitive function, brain health, removing that brain fog, helping to shift that brain fog, we want to be paying attention to just taking care of our gut. The opposite of that would be reducing takeaways, inflammatory oils, maybe too much alcohol, all of those things. Specifically like the takeaways, the ready meals, anything that's kind of like deep fried or in these inflammatory oils, they aggravate the lining of the gut like no one's business. So again, we think about if that is being aggravated, of course we are then going to experience the low mood, because this hub for our happy hormone production is being compromised. So now we're struggling with low mood and we don't know why. Our low mood then impacts the decisions and the habits and the behaviours, because we act upon the mood that we're in instead of following the plan, which is again why you will hear me a lot of the time say, ladies, get on board and get yourself a plan and just stick to the plan, because regardless of how you feel, you can guarantee that you are still pacing forwards. But what happens without a plan for ourselves is we let our mood dictate whether or not we're going to show up, and in how we're going to show up, and the decisions that we make. So it really does have this bigger knock-on effect. So those are the 5 things that I've put into place, and I'm still actively really trying to make an effort with. I don't always have that cut-off point at the end of the evening. I don't always meet my protein goal. I don't always meet my fibre goal, but I'm paying attention to it, and I'm really noticing the difference. And I've made myself a goal, a little mission. I want to go into this back end of the year, into the festive season, feeling as good as I did during the summer months. That doesn't mean a certain number on the scales. It doesn't even mean a certain dress size or aesthetic. It's an inner knowing. It's an inner confidence. It's a feeling of feeling good at all times. And So these are the things I thought I would share. These are the things that I'm going to continue to prioritise. If any of these landed for you, or if you put any of these to the test and you feel the benefits, please let me know. Please reach out. Drop me a message on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, stick it below, stick it in the comments. Let me know. I'm always so grateful for anybody who listens, anybody who shares the podcast, anybody who recommends it to a friend. But I would love to know also your takeaways, your big takeaways from any of these episodes. Ladies, I hope you've enjoyed listening this week. I will look forward to catching you all on the next episode of the Nicola Graham Podcast.